Please give it up for my friend, the medical correspondent from Pep House TV, Tom Dock. Woo! I know, every time I do it, I'm like, I gotta yell too. Woo!
You gotta yell?
Woo! Gotta yell. All right. Let's see, you're on orange mic. There we go. Hey, you can hear us. Okay. All right. Let's have a seat. Let's have a cat conversation.
Let's chat. Let's be chatty catties.
Yes, I love it. All right. You guys can hear us out there, okay? All right.
Cool.
So this is a cat conversation about something that I think a lot of people find impossible, which is going to the vet with your cat without a ton of stress for them and a ton of stress for you.
We hear this every day in the veterinary practice. In fact, earlier this morning, I was talking on stage here, and I had a client, her cat needed a urinalysis. It had a UTI going on. We needed to find out, was it getting better? She has 7 cats, I think, so getting it out of the litter box was not going to work.
Sure.
So we're going to go medically, do that cystocentesis, pull it from the bladder so it's sterile. And I said, okay, lady, we'll leave the names out of this, right? Lady, what you need to do, let's get this appointment set up, get your cat in at 11 o'clock, blah, blah, blah. So she calls at 10 to 11, I can't get my cat. Did you put it away the night before, like in the bathroom or anything? Nope, she's letting it out, and of course it's under the bed or hiding somewhere. They're so good at hiding.
They are, and it's instinctual, right? And what I have found, in becoming an observer, which makes you a better cat parent, right, is that they know your energy. Like, they know the vet visit is coming. So if you are not in a space where you are confident that this is going to be okay for the cat, they're already like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, you're getting worked up, and all of our animals, we're talking cats here, but the dogs do it too. They pick up on that energy, they pick up on the subtle clues, and so you go downstairs, you get the cat carrier out, right? And maybe you do it the night before, but you're putting it out and the cat's like, whoa, memories, right?
Danger.
Danger, exactly. And then the next morning, instead of sleeping in and feeding, you're getting up and you're moving around, and the cat, they pick that up. You and I were talking earlier, your cats are picking up on the fact that you weren't gonna be with them this evening because you're here, right?
Yeah.
And so they pick up on those things, and we need to be respectful and recognize that to make it easier to get them to the veterinarian.
I like what you said there about being respectful, because that's the first thing, is that we have to recognize that a cat is a cat, right? So, like, we have to work within what they are capable of doing, which is getting them safe enough to feel like this is not going to be scary. And I think that question comes up right away of like, what is that?
Very important announcement.
Yes. Hi, Kayla. Thank you for coming. Kayla will be taking over stage manager. Welcome to PopCon, everybody. There's announcements, and sometimes the Star Wars people walk through with someone they've arrested.
And they're ringing the bells.
Oh, the shame.
Yeah, love it.
Okay, so let's start with when someone tells you, because you work at Noah's Animal Hospital, so you have those calls all the time. I'm gonna have to reschedule. I'm running late. So what are the things that you tell your clients and would recommend here today on where to start going home from PurrCon? Where do we start making it so that the vet visit isn't so scary?
Okay, let's start with something easy, non-drug related, anything like that, right? Let's start with the carrier. Stop putting the carrier in the attic, in the closet, in the basement where the cat never sees it. Leave it out. Put something that smells like you, a t-shirt, a pillowcase in there. Get them used to going in and out of that. Don't, the minute they go in there, lock them in there, right? Let them come in and out of it. Give them and I'm going to say it wrong again, it's not churros, it's churros.
Ah, the magical churro.
Okay, so I grew up working at Chi-Chi's in college, and so churros is on my mind all the time, right? Okay. But give them that little treat when they're in there, okay? Have a couple toys in there, and that way let them get used to it. Sally was saying earlier, her cats sleep in the carriers. Mm-hmm. Now they go in there when they want to get away from stuff. That's step one. Get your kitten used to that. You can go home right now and get your cat used to that. Put it down, even if they've had a bad experience with it before. It's in the environment. They're going to see it. It's going to be less scary.
And I think for you, like as the human being, what can you do to prepare for the vet visit?
Well, as I said earlier, if you know your cat's going to be hard to catch, confine them somewhere. Don't confine them to a bedroom, especially if you have a California king-sized bed. I can't tell you the number of calls that I've taken where I've gone out. Where's your cat? Under the bed. You walk in, it's that big 6x6 or 6x8 bed, and the cat's right in the middle, and you're doing this. But I'll be honest, I've used pool skimmers to pull the cat out from under the bed.
I have used the broom.
Yeah, it works. But keep your energy low, prepare, have them ready ahead of time. In other words, the night before if you need to. If you've got multiple cats, especially if we've got something like a urinary issue, separate litter box, okay? Let that cat have the litter box. Hey, friend, how are you?
Living the dream.
Always.
I know Abdul's not here for the cats.
He might not, who knows? Maybe he's here for us.
That's right.
Yeah. But, give them food and water in a separate place. They're going to be fine. It's just overnight. And that way you have them confined, you can get them into the carrier. Now, I just want to touch on this real quick. If it's an emergent situation, okay, and they won't get in the carrier, your carrier's too small, and the cat's fighting it. And you know how they do that? They spread out.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Grab a pillowcase. I mean, honestly, grab a pillowcase, put them in there. It's better than nothing, trust me.
It also keeps you safe.
Yes.
Right? Like you don't need to be getting injured yourself.
No. You get enough of that with the cat little nibbles and scratches, right? That they don't mean to do. You don't want to do it when they're trying to get away.
So, I think one of the things that we get held up on as human beings when you're talking about putting them in a room, putting them in a bathroom for a night, we feel like, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. So, can you explain why that has actually helped someone through that? This is why this is better for your cat.
So we're talking probably a very short period of time, 6 to 8 hours, which you all are cat lovers out there. How much of that 6 to 8 hours is that cat going to be sleeping? 6 of the 8, or 5.5 of the 6, right? And so they're just going to curl up. They're going to settle down. If you give them the food, you give them a toy in that bathroom, they're going to be okay. And they're not going to freak out, okay? In most cases, especially if you've done this before, right? And we've also got to keep in mind that they want to be safe. Right? And if you're trying to chase them the next morning, that's going to get their cortisol up, their stress hormones up. That's not going to be good for that vet visit. That means it's going to be harder to get blood, harder to get the urine, harder to do the physical exam.
Yeah, and so once we have established, okay, the vet visit's coming tomorrow, we're going to get my cat in a nice, safe place. I'm going to get myself in. This is going to be great. It's going to be fine. The car ride. Any tips for the car ride?
Yeah, I think, of course, be in a carrier. They've got to be in the carrier. Now, some people that have trained their cat to harnesses, they can clip them in the seat belts. That's great. I would keep them in a carrier because you don't want them under your feet. I drove from Indianapolis to Colorado Springs, Colorado when I moved out there with my 30-pound, don't shame me, please, 30-pound cat.
Oh, gosh.
And I let him sit up on my shoulder as we were driving through St. Louis during rush hour traffic. Not a good thing. I probably still have the scars from that. So they've got to be safe in the carrier, right? And then just, there and back. Let's not take a stop. Oh, I got to drop off the letter, the post office. I need to get him food. Get him there and get him back. And then, we haven't touched on this yet. Talk with your veterinarian. If you've got a relationship with your veterinarian, a lot of times they can give you some anti-anxiety, some sedative medications. There's a lot of very safe things out there like gabapentin that can be given to cats that will bring their stress level down.
Yeah, and it's a trip, obviously it's an extra trip that you make, but it's so worth it because what we're trying to do is to find out how healthy your cat is. And if your cat is upset, freaked out, not letting you get blood, we can't get that information.
Right. And we need to remember too that so many people say, well, my cat can take care of themselves, right? They're independent. They know what they're doing. Cats age faster than we do. Okay, yeah, we've done a great job. We see 25-year-old cats routinely now. That's amazing and fantastic, right? But that's still faster than we age. So they should be seen at least once a year or twice a year. Okay. They hide their illnesses. We talked earlier today. They're efficient predators, but cats are prey animals too. And so they will hide so that if they're feeling sick, they're going to go hide somewhere so that a predator doesn't pick them off. Okay? And guys, they can't talk to us. I know you know the body language, right?
Yes.
Especially you, KJ, with your cats and the issues that some of them have had. We learn what the
My
cats
cats have issues, guys.
Yeah, they all do. But we learn their body language, but they won't say it hurts when I pee, right? They may say, I'm going to pee over here. Or, you know what? What's the number one, I don't know if you know this or not. What is the number one reason or symptom for a cat who has arthritis?
Ooh, the number one symptom? I think of them all. For me, it's usually I notice when they're not jumping up on something anymore.
And that's one of the top ones, but the number one reason is stop using the litter box.
Is it?
Okay.
Because of the pain?
Because of the pain of squatting, or a lot of us are like, we're going to put the litter box in the basement, back over here. They've got to go downstairs.
Yeah.
It's easier just to pee over here, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt as much. So think about that. If you got a cat going outside the litter box, especially if they're older, about 90% of cats over 12 have arthritis. It might be a reason.
And I think what's really cool, I worked at a cat clinic the entire time. I was on the Smiley Morning Show, and there's so much more that we can do to help cats. But I think a lot of people are under the impression, and we want to get them out of it, that it's just a cat that's just they're old. That's just the way that's just the way my cat's gonna be now. They're old. But like, what if your 16-year-old cat could still jump on the bed? Like there's things we can do. They don't have to be old and decrepit.
They can still enjoy a great quality of life. And we've got newer drugs out there. These monoclonal antibodies that are coming out, like Silencia, are turning these cats. You guys have seen the commercial. They're like the little kitty's got the red flag. I think I saw it even during like the Pacers games.
Yeah.
Zoetis is doing so much right now with that kind of stuff. But it's amazing that if you give them that, they can turn their life around, and then you've got another 10, maybe 15 years with that cat.
Yeah, that was, Silencia was something that I introduced to the cat club after we got Jaina, who was our senior cat, and she'd been in a crate in a shelter, right? And we thought, well, she just can't move because she's been so confined and unable to stretch. And then it was clear that it was not just that. And the Silencia shot was fairly new when we started it, and it was amazing. She was running and she was playing, and she was a different cat. So, we want people to leave here knowing there are options.
Lots of options.
So when we get into the room, I want a deep dive. When we get into the room with our cat and we're waiting, what's the best thing we can be doing?
In the exam room?
In the exam room.
You know what? Let the cat either come out of the carrier on its own and explore. How many of you have seen the great pictures of, can you find the cat in the exam room and he's hiding in the sink, right? Or, the trash can or something like that. Let them do that. That's okay. We don't mind in the veterinary office. We don't mind at all. In fact, it's kind of fun. And it gives us the opportunity to come in, talk with you, and while we're talking with you, we're looking at the cat and watching that behavior. I know so many people want us to run up to the cat, pet the cat, right? We want to see how are they acting before they start getting freaked out by some stranger running over to it, right? How are they acting? That's a very important thing. Their mental capacity, right? So just let them explore the room. That's absolutely fine.
So we don't need to be in the room trying to get them out. Come on up. Just let them be.
Nope. Let them be, and we can get those carriers that have the tops, the open from the top. That's an easy way to get it. If you've got those carriers, those are the best. The dog carriers that are smaller, that just have the door in the front, it's a little more challenging because now I'm safe. I'm in here. I'm going to pull back, and then if you try to grow out or go in and grab, all you're going to grab is the scruff. And there's 2 times in a cat's life when they get scruffed. when mama's carrying them somewhere,
Yeah.
okay, and when the babies are being made. Okay, and neither of them are fun times necessarily. Okay, for the cats, so they don't like to be scruffed. We will certainly do it in emergency situations, but letting them come out is so much better. It's really the fear-free aspect of veterinary medicine.
And that's a huge movement, the fear-free movement that our vets are really trying to understand how they can too. This isn't just you doing all of the work at home. Our vets are doing the work to try to make the visit as stress-free as possible too.
Right, we're going to use things like pheromones, like the feel away, and there's so many of them that are out there now that will spray ahead of time, or we'll spray on a cloth and put it in the carrier with the cat just to bring their stress level down.
I want to talk about something that's sitting on the table here that, I mean, it's not necessarily something that is going to make for a better vet visit, but the amount of times that Tom and I talk about Purina Hydro Care.
It's scary.
He actually texted me this morning and he was like, can you bring some with you? And I was like, I just ordered a whole case for the weekend. So yes, I can. This is one of the things that if your cat is experiencing like peeing outside the box, we now know that I think people are more aware that kidney issues happen earlier than we expected. I have Melody whose kidney issues started at 4, right? So let's talk about the hydration side of things and how important it is and how it helps you in the veterinary community take better care of our cats.
This is such a game changer when it comes to taking care of our cats, because we know that cats are evolved from a desert dwelling creature. We know they are very efficient at water. They retain a lot of water, but because of the diets that we choose right now, because of their own inactivity most of the time, they're not out hunting, they're not out finding those sources of water, they are going to be often dehydrated. Okay, and so what Purina is saying, and I really like their marketing on this, they say, okay, get a third bowl. Okay,
Yeah.
This is not a food additive, it is not a water additive, it is going to go into the third bowl. It is I want to say liver, is it liver flavor?
Yes.
Because
Yep.
I have one cat, I have 4 dogs and 1 cat, so I'm not the cat guy.
Sure,
right?
sure.
But I think it's liver flavored, and the cat only needs to take about 2 ounces of it a day. Okay, that is enough to get them to be rehydrated, the cells to be better hydrated. And when we have better hydrated cells, we're gonna have better kidneys, we're gonna have better blood flow, better all around quality of life.
Yeah, this is when Grayson, my cat, had his first blood work come back that was, like, hey, the kidneys are saying I'm a little bit stressed here. We actually did, we tried, because I've worked at a clinic, I'm like, I can do fluids at home, it's fine. Grayson has been through so much, right? Stomatitis treatments, like crazy. And he was like, excuse me, no one will be giving me sub-Q fluids. And that's another thing, like, have you been at the vet and they're like, you're gonna take this bag home, and you're like, I am, right? Like,
You're gonna put that needle into that cat?
is it like, yeah, it's fine, it's gonna leave a bubble, don't worry about it. Like, that's all true, but that's another thing that you get stressed about going to the vet. Like, I can't do needles. This is a game changer. Grayson has had for 2.5 years, knock on wood, that guy has normal kidney function. We check his blood work every 6 months. This is the only thing we did different.
And I want to touch on something you said right here. For those of you who are cat parents out there and you're worried about cat, we know many of them do get kidney injury, that do get kidney disease. It's very common, especially as the cat ages, right? When your veterinarian says, let's do some blood work, say yes, because if we can get 2 samples within 6 months, there is a lot of technology out there that will now say, it's called augmented intelligence.
Okay.
It looks at the blood work, and within 95% chance, it'll tell you whether that cat's gonna have kidney disease in the next 2 years.
Oh my God, it's like a predictor?
It is a predictor, and so the nice thing about this, and you can ask Dr. Matt when he comes up here about that, the nice thing about it is if we can start earlier on different diets, on hydrocare, on keeping them hydrated, we're going to extend that cat's life. We can't cure kidney disease, right? We manage kidney disease. You all know this. I can see the nodding heads out there, right? But if we managed it earlier, how many more years can we add to that cat? And just, we got to put the plug out there too. Keep your cats lean, okay? Heavy cats, they may look fluffy.
Mr.
Yes,
30-pound
the 30-pound
cat.
We got him down to 16. He was a Maine
Did you
Coon mix. Yeah, we
really?
got him down to
Wow.
16. And he lived to be 16 years old. But he probably wouldn't have made it past 12.
That's another thing that when we're talking about weight, that is something that is so helpful for vets. Get a baby scale and weigh your cats on a regular basis.
Yep.
Because if you see a couple of ounces gone, it might just be that their bladder was empty. But if in 2 weeks, a couple more ounces are gone, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, and we got to think too that most cats, let's leave the Maine Coons and the big Bengals and the Savannahs out of it for a second, right? Most of our cats, 8, 10, maybe 12 pounds tops is going to be good body weight. When we lose a pound, that's 12.5% of an 8-pound cat, right? Did I do my math right? Yeah, something like that. That's a lot. I mean, that's losing, like me losing somewhere around, 35 pounds in a week or whatever, and that would be way too much.
Yeah, it is a lot. So those are things that are like super easy. I get the chews out, like they see the scale. I know it's a little, like it's slippery, right? So they don't love it, but I get the chews out, everybody walks across the scale, and we get their weights. And also it helps you know if you need to have a conversation with your vet about how much you're feeding them, right? Because I think that's something that people get super confused about.
Well, not only do people get confused about what should I be feeding, how much should my cat weigh, but veterinarians and veterinary staff are all like me, okay? They don't like to talk to people about their animal's weight.
Sure.
Yeah, he's getting a little husky. He's getting a little fluffy. We don't want to say your cat's obese. It's really hard for them to say that, right? But we have to have those conversations, and you guys initiate it, right? And ask, what should I be feeding? And you know what, guys? I know there's so many boutique foods out there. There's so many things. Trust the companies that are doing the research. Trust Hills, trust Times, Royal Canin, Purina. Okay, trust these guys. They're the ones doing the research. They're the ones that are building those blocks. Yeah, if you want to get, one of those boutique brands, to feed on occasion, that's great, but trust the research that they're doing.
I think that the final thing I'd like to really leave people with is a lot of times when I'm talking, someone comes to me and they're like, oh, the blood work came back fine. The vet said they're fine. I always feel like, did the vet say they're fine, or did the vet tell you medically from what we can tell, this is what we know? So what I would like to empower you all to do, and with your advice, is how do we say to the vet, instead of, well, everything was fine and you go home defeated, how do you have that conversation of what else can we do? How do you get empowered as the cat parent to say, what else can we do?
Sure.
Right?
So this is actually, it's a question that we get very often, right? And it's usually on the other side where the person says they wanted to do unnecessary tests. Okay, no tests are unnecessary, right? If we don't get answers from the blood work, okay, x-rays may be the next step. Ultrasound may be the next step. We're talking a diagnostic tree, and I'm going to give you a personal experience here. It's human, it's not cat, but you guys can relate to it. So my wife, for about a year and a half, had pain in her upper right abdomen quadrant. Her doc thought, hey, it's gallbladder. Oh. Okay, listen, yeah. They're thinking it was gallbladder problem, right? But because the blood work was fine and they didn't see anything on x-rays, and then the endoscopy was fine, and colonoscopy was fine, the insurance wasn't going to sign off on anything because no surgeon said, I think it's gallbladder, we've got to go. And that happens in veterinary medicine too. So I would empower you guys, if the doc says, hey, the blood work's fine, I'm not really sure why, this is probably behavioral, try this, step up and say, okay, well, this is what I'm seeing. My cat lost 4 ounces last week and another 4 when we got here. He's not eating as much. I used to, back in my early days, I've been doing this 30 years, say, oh, you measure your cat's water? Are you crazy? Oh, and you're using, bottled water? What, But now I get it. I get it. It is better for them, right, than tap water. It is good to know exactly how much that they're drinking and then intake is, and you know, cleaning that litter box. Be proactive, be an advocate for your cat. I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah, and do not be afraid. I think when we're sitting here today, we're having all of these cat conversations all weekend long. The most important person you can have a conversation with is your vet. So if something doesn't make sense to you, if something doesn't add up when you get home, because sometimes we're stressed because the cat is, and we want to just get out of there, right? Don't be afraid to continue to say, I need to have another conversation about my cat. You are the person who knows your cat the best. The vet can do the tests and do the things.
And interpret all the signs that go together, right?
So anything else before we go?
You know, no.
Go to the vet, right?
Yeah, go to the vet. Keep
At
that
least once a year,
yeah,
right?
Keep that relationship. I said earlier today, if you don't have that relationship and your cat needs the, you know, what we call a good cat cocktail to come in because they get so stressed out, it's hard for the vet to just say, let me give you these controlled drugs because I've not seen your cat. I had a call or a web chat for somebody today. I need to get my cat in. I'm a former client. And I look back, it'd been 10 years since that person had been in. And I get it, it's hard to get the cats in, but follow this advice. Use the carriers, use pheromones, ask your doc about good kitty cocktails.
All right, everybody give it up for Tom Doc. And watch him on Pet Pals TV. And see him at the Indy 11 games with his big mastiffs.
Yeah. If it's not 90 degrees.